right, welcome to our double header of creative perceptions where your dreams meet your reality. My name is Zachary Rogers and I'll be your host. Today I have a special guest. I have my cousin who is a sports writer for phillysportsnews.com. He's a broadcaster. He has his own podcast, the Open Gym Podcast. Also, he's been a guest. He's been an analyst or a guest for Broad South podcast. He's also got to be on, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mina Say What podcast?
Yeah, the playbook. Yeah.
Playbook. So definitely has a lot of variety. PhillySportsNetwork.com was originally, if I'm not mistaken, it is now a virtual newspaper as well too, and a physical newspaper, correct?
Yes, correct. Yes, sir. Metro newspaper, Swept Media Group came in and bought the company. So now we're PhillySportsNetwork.com and Metro Philly.
Congratulations. Big deal.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Working hard, trying to make an impact some way, somehow.
That's what we're here for. All right, so really quick, we're going to get straight into it. When did your love for sports begin?
Yeah, again, man, thank you for having me on here, man. It's been a long time coming. We've been planning to do this for a while now, but we're finally here. But sports, man, sports has been a part of my life all my life. Two things in my life that was a part of me since I was about 6-7 years old, and that's music and sports. Like if it wasn't pertaining to any of that, I didn't really care for growing up. But sports, I've played on multiple AAU teams and rec league teams in high school and middle school, everything. So I was always the athletic son of my parents. So sports has always been in me. I would say early on, into the nuances and the details of sports, I wasn't really grasping. I just wanted to run. Yeah, I was an outside kid. Like it was just like, yeah, if you wanted to put me on punishment, take my game, take my toys, whatever you wanted to do. I don't care, but don't tell me I can't go outside. That's the thing that's gonna kill me because I gotta go outside. So I would just like to just play sports. But as I got older, when I got into like high school. LeBron James was ascending. He was the new thing that was going on. I really started to dive deep into sports. I mean, like I said, the Eagles and Sixers have always been our teams. I've seen the Donovan-led teams. I seen going to the not the Eastern Conference Finals, the NFC Championship 3 times and losing 2 of them. So I seen all that, but I still didn't grasp what was going on because that was like 2003. So I was in high school. I started around like 2003, 2004. So after, but I would say my sophomore year, I really started to like realize like, dang, I really like sports, like more than the average Joe. I was looking at it a different way, really diving into it, especially playing it. You see the other side of sports that comes into it as well. So sports, it's been embedded in me, man, since I can remember, since I seen the ball, since I seen grass, since I seen cleats, like whatever it was that I seen, like I was an active kid. So sports came easy to me. And I think I did well in my young years.
Okay, definitely love that. All right, so you sports at an early age, at a young age, really start to hone through middle school and high school. What made you want to pursue journalism, sports journalism, on top of being a musician? As you know, musicians, that takes a lot of time, effort. That's another component of art. What made you say, hey, I also want to, with the love of sports, what made you also want to dive into sports journalism too?
Yeah, so 2 things about me, like you say, the music aspect of it. So I've written music, lyrics, composing music, all that above. So that takes. I always had a artistic or unique way of creating things or writing things out. And as I still do music heavily, I've I want to say capped out, but more so became, at a place in music where it was like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like I gig regularly. I make good money from it and I'm happy doing it. But I didn't necessarily have to be your mega superstar musician like others are. Don't get me wrong. Yes, tours, stadium tours and stuff, that's awesome to experience and everything like that. But like, was it something I really wanted to be, being out on the road 3-4 months at a time, not being home for so long. Then, obviously I have a daughter now and everything now. So we talking about missing a lot of her younger years in life, being on the road. So it was sort of kind of like just being the grown up, essentially realizing the phase I am in life. I can still enjoy doing music, make good money from it, but I can't really dive into it like I could have when I was 18, 19, 22 years old, essentially. So just, looking at different things in life, transitioning to that, still having some free time, being a little flexible throughout the weeks. I just wanted something to feel like, something, but I'm a person that I don't do things just to do it. Like, I'm not going to do it just because it makes this amount of money, or like I have to be happy, because if I'm not happy, I'm gonna wind up even leaving or be miserable wherever I'm at anyway, though. So it doesn't even matter. And I always know I had a love for sports. I'm very opinionated, and then somehow when things need to be found out, people asking me questions, I'm like, hey, I really don't know, but let me look it up. I'm saying stuff like that. So I realized I really had like I said the ear for people, and people like wanted to hear what I had to say, essentially like that. So just taking a whim just out there, started myself just writing little tad bit things on Twitter, just about what I see going on in different sports worlds and games and things, and getting a little bit of a reaction, people, responding, we have a conversation. It led me to meeting someone that I actually work with now at Philly Sports Network named Sean Bernard. Just out of the blue, DM me like, hey man, listen, you got a knack for what you're doing here. What you're saying, it isn't just regular Twitter banner that's going on Twitter, as we can see. And he's like, this website I work for, they're hiring, you should fill it out. And I let them know. So long story short, reached out to them. I let them know, they listen, hey man, I don't really have experience, in and everything like that. But they like, listen, we seen with some of the things you said, talking to you right now. We'll take you in, we'll teach you what we know, essentially like that. So I even found out that I had a passion for it by doing it when I realized like, dang, I just wrote that. Reading my first piece, I'm like, whoa, I just wrote that. Like, that's kind of dope. Like, I didn't know I actually could do something like that. Knowing I know it's within me, because it is another form of art, journalism, that is. And being from the music side of things, composing and writing music and lyrics and things of that nature, it felt like the same, because when you're passionate about something and you know about something, it's not a struggle. It easily flows out of you, essentially. It's just about, in the journalism world, it's just a little more structured than it would be musically, whereas like I can literally say whatever I want, how I want it to flow, whatever. It's a little more structured, so it more so I had to learn the technical side of journalism and things of that nature. But I feel like it came pretty easy for me, because I feel like when you love something and you're into something, you're passionate, it's easy to do. Like, we all watch sports. I dive into the numbers. I look at different things. I know what I'm talking about. Like, just be confident in your writing. And I found out that I was actually good at it.
Right, solid. No, I love that. That's definitely detailed, breaking that down, because you never know how your stories come like kind of full circle. So that's definitely a good journey. What have been some of the growing pains that you've experienced as you continue to transition in this vein of art, so to speak, and journalism?
Yeah, I mean, I said one already. Just the structure side, the technical side, the detail things about writing that people look for, how you can word things and structure things to make it people stay engaged, be real in tune to your writing and things of that nature. So things like that were probably the biggest I guess hurdle or whatever I had to face, because I knew what I wanted to say, but I didn't know how to put it out in a way where it should be when it comes to journalism and writing articles and things of that nature like that. And then just like with any business, man, it's the movers and the shakers. It's about who you meet, who you develop relationships with and stuff like that. So that's been my main thing, just developing great relationships with some great people, genuine people, essentially like that. Just putting myself out there, essentially like that, because you can be the greatest at what you do, but in certain fields, if you don't know anybody, your greatness can take you but so far, essentially. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, I would say. because obviously in any industry, especially entertainment or media, like you got to have a little luck and you got to have some relationships essentially. So, I mean, I'm out there, put myself out there, put my face out there, meeting people, let them know what I have and what I can bring to the table while still learning essentially like that. Because I'm far from where I know I can be. But yeah, man, this whole thing has just been a blast and a whirlwind essentially right now. Just trying to grasp everything and get into it though.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I got into journalism my senior year in college. I was taking random electives to graduate, and I ran into Professor Kent, who covered Michael Jordan. He's a diehard Ravens fan. Like, and he just talks about his journey covering Michael Jordan, NFL, baseball. He used to always say cover hockey. To this day, he still always offers me internships and stuff like that. But he always used to say, like, don't be afraid to go outside of the norm. So definitely, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I actually ran into my first gig in journalism by going back and working at Morgan in that same department and still running into him. So I commend you for, taking that leap of faith and like really following up with those writers that, open that opportunity. Now I do have another question. Being as though you cover Philly, do Philly natives and Philly fans get attached to the Philly sport, especially when you have to write and cover them? Do you all have an attachment?
If they tell you that they don't, it's a lie. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that cover the team that aren't necessarily fans of the team, but the ones that that are fans of the team, like if they say they don't have an attachment to the team, and sometimes in their writing, they just learn. Because I mean, it's just a lie. I'm sorry, because it's hard to be a fan for however many years and then say, but you can have a sense of professionalism in your writing. Because me personally, I wrote some things this year that I didn't think I would have previously, just being a fan. Like, prime example, being a diehard Joel Embiid fan. Like, I literally love Joel Embiid, one of my favorite players in the NBA, especially the Sixers team. Seeing this past playoffs that we just seen and not liking some of the things he say, I had to, put my fandom aside, how much I like it. And I literally wrote a 400+ word article about how he should have stepped up to the plate, essentially better than what he did, at least getting the team past the second round. So there is a bias or a fandom that's there, but there are moments where you can put that aside and speak objectively and about your team. But don't get me wrong, sometimes you do get your feelings and you want to just be like, forget everybody, they're a great team, they're going to be good. But it's like, you can't do that, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely there, but you definitely have to at times, or a lot of times, put that fandom aside and speak about your team truthfully.
Right. I love that. Now, speaking of that, I like how you kind of touched on having to remove your fandom or, your like for Joel Embiid, who had a phenomenal season. How do you know when you create a masterpiece or when you finish that article and you're like, this is it?
What's crazy is I had that moment. I'm trying to remember what article is. I know it had to do something about James Harden. I can't remember what I had to look back and see, but it was about James Harden. And I think he pissed me off one day. It was one of those games where it was just like, I was just done with it. I think it was the one, and I wrote a detailed article about him essentially, but I was struggling with trying to explain and portray certain things that I wanted to say, because I wanted to give real detail and break down the numbers essentially like that, and what I was seeing and why is it the cause and effect of these things. And that was probably my first article where I, after doing extensive research on different things and structuring it came out exactly how I wanted, and how I knew that was when I read it. I felt like, because I have to read everything back. Everyone should, regardless, though. But when I read my articles, I read it as a person that didn't think of this. Like, what is the person that's outside that's picking up this paper, that's clicking on this link after they read their title? how can I send them through an experience or tell a story in a sense as far as about what I'm talking about. And when I read my own articles, I gotta leave that article like, wow, like if rather it be informational, like dag, I didn't know that, or in general, just like dag, I just like how he framed and capitalized on one subject, but gave you the whole thing within 400 words, and I had an open in the middle and the end, essentially like that, like a story, essentially like that. I like to story tell essentially when I how my writing is, if I had to classify it as far as how I write. So when I read it, I have to feel like I experienced something or I really went through it myself, essentially like that. Like dang, like James Harden, and make you think, like if we're having a downtime during the season and you looking and I write something that's like, hey, look at the brighter side. The numbers of this tell you this is that. And after you read that, you should sit there and be like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna feel better. Okay, James Harden's gonna be better. So when I get done reading, I want to leave like knowing that I experienced something or I read a great story or I learned something out of that. So once it flows like that and it doesn't like stop me or anything like that, that's how I know it's a good thing that I came out with.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Definitely making sure you connect to the audience, because
Yeah,
we don't have an audience, we don't have anything. All
that's
right. So we're moving on from the main portion of the interview, the Let's Talk Current. Now we're going to Quick Strike, kind of like Foot Locker. They only get a limited Quick Strike. These are quick answers, off the top answers. First thing that comes to mind: Who's winning the NBA Finals?
Who's winning the NBA Finals? I got to go to State Warriors. I know, but yeah, that's what I'm going with. I wasn't even ready to spill that out yet, but you got a little early sneak peek. I was waiting for the end of the week because I was still tussling with it, but I think I'm leaning towards the Golden State Warriors because I just can't see Boston winning. No, I don't like that. They're a rival.
Fair enough. They are indeed. You're absolutely right. Two teams to look out for in the 2022-23 NFL season. Two teams, maybe a dark horse or just a team, we already know, put on notice or whatever the case may be. Two teams that you're feeling, you're like, look out.
I'm gonna go just East and West. The East, I feel like the Cavaliers are gonna make that next step. I really love Darius Garland. He's becoming one of my young and up and coming guys. West, I feel like it was a learning experience for John and Grizzlies. I'm a big John. So that's something everyone already knows, but I feel like they're going to take that next leap into, okay, let's figure it out. Let's really learn how to win. We're not just going to be young running around trying to intimidate people. Let's actually learn how to win. So that's the next step in their evolution. I like that. And then also with Darius Garland, I just like him as a point guard, his game. And that Cavs team is young and they got some pieces over there.
Okay. Now let's switch to the NFL. Two teams in the NFL for the 2022-2023 season.
Ha! Well, you already know. You already know Bird Gang. You already know Jalen Hurts finally gonna take that leap, show us he the starting quarterback of the future. Okay. AJ Brown, nice pieces on the defense. I mean, I know that's probably an easy thing for me because, like I said, we had a good offseason. Obviously, still got to put things together, but I feel like a good offseason. So I like them a lot, truthfully, not even being biased. And then also just to give you another team, I mean, we all know the big guys. I feel like the Bengals, they set a precedent. They said that's like that. They like the Grizzlies. I feel like that wasn't a fluke. I feel like now they're ready to like put a team together. They just need offensive linemen, some more defensive players and stuff like that. So I like the Bengals as well. So the Eagles and the Bengals out of the NFL, I feel like this year going to make some noise.
Okay. So staying in their 10 years in Philadelphia on their prospective sports teams, who was more misunderstood, Terrell Owens or Allen Iverson?
Ah, man. Wow. Misunderstood. I would say more misunderstood will probably be Terrell Owens. And this is why I said I don't think AI was misunderstood. I think he was understood and he just wasn't changing who he was. I think that was more so when it came to him because like AI was just who he was. Like
Right.
I don't practice, I go out, but I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna play 110% each and every night. So it was like you understood that. That's why AI is so beloved in this town, essentially. I say Terrell Owens most understood because that's more of a he say she say battle between two stars. And you got to think Donovan was here longer. He's a longer tenure player. And, Terrell Owens already left another team with the same situation with Jeff Garcia going back and forth with him. So it was easier to just be like, oh, Terrell Owens is the problem, essentially like that. When me personally, I feel like that was the first year you ever went anything successful as far as getting past the NFC Championship, Donovan. You should have fought for that man to get another paycheck. That's just me specifically. So I feel like he's understood and he's been hated, not now because they understand now, but he was hated a long time and not really understood that it really wasn't him. Not saying he didn't have his problems, but all he wanted was his money. That's all. That's all I wanted was my money. That's it.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to merge over to the next lane. The next section is going to be all caps or no caps. Hence wordplay, all caps meaning it's a lie, no caps meaning it's the truth. So whatever your answer is, it would need to be all caps if it's a lie and then no caps.
If it's okay.
Nope. The James Harden trade did more harm than good.
I'm going to go no cap.
Okay.
Just a brief synopsis. It's just got to get out. The expectations were just set too high when people just didn't realize that it wasn't who we thought we was getting. He's still a good player. He still can produce. He just only can produce in a certain role, which puts us in a situation, a situation where we have to go out and add to the team. But we still can do that. It might be tricky, but we still can do that because I would rather someone that can give me 20 or 10 than someone that literally gives you absolutely nothing. I don't even know if he's going to play again. So it can only be good because you had to get rid of a player that did not want to play here whatsoever ever again.
Yeah. Do you think James Harden was just to kind of branch off a little bit? Do you think he's just out of shape?
I think it plays a part, absolutely. Out of shape ain't got nothing to do with you being able to shoot. So that's why I would combat that with that. Like, it's a lot of George Name. We had a person on our team that was out of shape, George Name, that can shoot the ball. So like that was the thing that worried me. But definitely health played the part. I feel like that's why I feel like this offseason, would he get a chance to actually just train and not have to rehab? Because the last 2 years he's been rehabbing his hamstring. I believe we get a better version. I'm not saying elite, but we get a better version though for sure. So I do believe health was part of it.
Okay. Doc Rivers will lead the Sixers to a title.
The fan in me, the optimism in see say no cap, but I mean all signs lead to all cap right now. It like that's nothing but the truth. You said all caps are truth, right? Yeah.
All caps
or vice versa. A lie. I'm sorry. You say he will lead us to, but yeah, all caps was a lie. Yeah, I don't believe it. I want to believe it. If he does it, thank you, Jesus. But but I right now, for what I've seen, I'm gonna have to go all caps. That's a lie right now. Prove me wrong, Doc. Prove me wrong.
The last question of the interview, and today, Allen Iverson is the greatest Sixer of all time.
Greatest Sixer of all time. I mean, for me, because you got to think, age matters as well. I'm not gonna say act like I watched Moses. I seen the documentaries and the highlights of Doc and Charles and all that, but yeah, Allen Iverson. That's he's the reason why I'm a Sixer fan. And I'm a Sixer fan and a basketball fan. AI changed the game, man. He revolutionized the game in his own right, and he's part of the reason why I'm a Sixers fan to this day. Since the first time I seen him play, I was sold. So yeah, to me, Allen Iverson is the greatest Sixer of all time. Embiid has a chance to get into that conversation with all of them, but Allen Iverson to me, yeah, it's my favorite. He's the best. GOAT Sixer, all that. Yep.
All right. Well, Aaron Bell, journalist,
yes, sir.
podcaster, broadcaster, musician, father, devoted husband, all
that.
Thank you for hopping on this podcast. Tell the people where they can follow you and where they can support you.
Yeah, man, you already know. It's your boy Aaron AB. You can follow me on Twitter at only1__AB. Also at Open Gym Podcast. Also on Instagram at only1AB_ Open Gym Podcast as well. Instagram, Open Gym Podcast on all streaming sites, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, everything. Also, the visual show as well is on YouTube. I do want to do this because we are doing through a little revamping as well with the Open Gym brand in general, transitioning to Open Gym Network. So it's more so going to be the network now. We're breaking it down into 3 sections. We have the Open Gym Podcast, which is more informational analysis in depth about the games around the NBA. Yeah, Open Gym Outside, where we also dive into the other realms of sports, culture, and entertainment, whether it's music, fashion, everything, or being at games, doing live games, things of that nature like that. And then also the Open Gym interview series, where I interview some interesting people from all spectrums of the world, whether it be sports, entertainment, wherever it might be, just to, have some fun, man. Just hit all aspects of sports and sports culture. It's a lot out there that goes on in the sports world nowadays, where it isn't just about what's happening on the course. And I want to be able to touch all facets of that in my Open Gym Network.
All right, man. Before we let you go, if you could tell your younger self and then the younger generation who may want to be a writer, a musician, an artist, but they're not necessarily encouraged in school, looking back on your journey, what would you tell somebody?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, overall, man, it's not easy. And I understand, through life you go through different things and you trying to find yourself. But I say if that's the case, really do that. And once you find yourself, just stay persistent in it, man. I know it's cliche and people say it a lot, but consistency is key. People love to see consistency. Your work will appreciate the consistency. What you put out there, the consistent work that you put out there will be appreciated. It's just like consistency is key when it comes to everything. It's going to be hard. Nothing's given to you. So it's easy to give up and just, quit and just do something else. But if you stay consistent, you'll find some level of success. And all success doesn't have to be the grandioso being on the biggest stage there is, because I've even learned through all this. I know some consistent people that are consistently blessed and consistently paid, and you don't even know what their name is. So it's like stuff like that to me. It's just like, just love what you do, be consistent in it. And there's always a path and there's always a mark you can reach that can better your life for sure.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Aaron Bell, man. Check it out. Appreciate you, man.
Everywhere, man. Check me out, man. Appreciate you for having me on. This is great, man. I'm glad I was able to sit on here finally, catch up with you, chat it out, talk about all these things, man. I'll be watching from the sideline, cousin. I got you.
Supporting you as well, man. Love you,
yes,
bro.
Yes, sir. I love you, man. Thank you.
All right.